Cat run. Okay, this would be Tuesday, February 11th. We're going to get into our stories of the Underworld. For yesterday, our speedy review. Let's see. What happened to the. Wait. Who made the first race of humans?
Prometheus.
Prometheus, first race of humans. And what ingredients did he use?
Mud and water.
Water, dirt and water, making mud. What happened to the first race?
They all got smashed like grease spots.
Got grease spots from?
War.
During the big war. So then, who becomes the new leader of the gods? Zeus. And Zeus wants to have a new race of humans created. Wait, not just humans were destroyed, but
Animals.
So now Zeus, the new leader of all the gods, Zeus wants to step up and have new ones made, but he can't go back to have the same person doing it because Prometheus is busy. So who does he have do it instead?
Epimetheus.
How is Epimetheus connected to Prometheus?
Brother.
Epimetheus steps up, and Epimetheus gets all nervous about the making of the humans, stuff like that. So he decides to come up with his good idea. And what's his good idea? Making animals first to get all the practicing out of the way. But what problem does he run into?
He runs out of supplies.
There you go. Runs out of all the supplies so that humans don't get any of the good stuff. That's why humans don't have fur and good claws and stuff like that. Because Epimetheus made the animals first, and we don't get any of the good things that go along with it. But we exist, so yay, baby steps. Then we have Zeus, who wants to set up sacrificing with him. And here's where he sets up sacrificing with the humans, brings in a cow, and they have to separate the cows into the 4 major cow parts. And what's the first part they make?
Leather.
With skin, leather, fur. After that comes the meat. After meat,
Guts, then rainbow sticks.
guts, and then
Rainbow sticks.
not rainbow sticks, yeah.
Rainbow maker grease.
Bones, nicely done. And of course, which 2 ones do the humans want?
Rainbow sticks.
Rainbow sticks, which is
The bone and fat.
bones in the fat. But of course, who convinces them otherwise?
Prometheus.
Prometheus convinces them otherwise. And what can Prometheus convince them they want?
The skin and the
There you go. They want the skin and the meat, and that's they have to eventually trick Zeus. Zeus realizes, oh, I got tricked, and that's where the rainbow sticks comes in because the glistening fat makes the bones look all purty. And then Zeus gets upset and says, of course, if anyone tricks him again, he'll get really mad. That's Thursday's story from there. And then so now we have that's Zeus setting up the agreement. Why does Zeus want sacrifices? Why does he care if humans sacrifice to him?
Oh, popularity.
Popularity, to see which gods are the most popular and which ones that we're going to care about. From there, what is it we're supposed to sacrifice to the gods? Animals or actually some kind of food type
Homeless
thing.
Bobby.
So it can be animals, it can be your bowl of Cheerios, something like that, but food that you would offer up to no sacrificing people, no matter how much fun it sounds like. And with sacrifices, making it popularity, which god is the most popular? Zeus. Why is Zeus the most popular?
You have to sacrifice
You have the main sacrifice, then you have the small sacrifice that always goes to Zeus. So he rigged the system so that he's always the most popular. The second most popular? Nicely done. It varies depending on the time of the year, and it would go, if it was going to be June and it's marrying season, the most popular god is Hera. If it's during a war, it becomes
Aries.
If it's during the Olympics,
Aphrodite.
Nike.
Oh, no, God of victory. Don't know.
I would do Nike, or I was thinking Hermes, but either one of those would work. Nicely done. And during a war, that's also when Hephaestus would become popular. Why would Hephaestus become popular?
Weapons and armor.
Nicely done, because
Oh,
of the
yeah.
weapons.
2 different.
So even though he wouldn't become the most popular, his popularity would shoot up, because if you're going to go into war and go stab people, you want to have a spear that doesn't break when you hit him. Like, it's crumple, and hi, and you run away. So you want to make sure you have a good stabby spear, so you would pray to Hephaestus that your weapon got made well. Speaking of stabbing people, let's start killing people.
Yay!
That was way too exciting, kind of scary. Map of the Underworld. So now we're going to take a tour of we're heading down to the Underworld. So for here, what's going to happen is, do you guys remember which god's job it was to take souls once you die down to Hades in the Underworld?
Hermes.
Not Hades, we're taking you down to Hades. Nicely done. Hermes.
Little
Ran around
Thanos.
all speedy. Once you died, your soul would pop out like a little ghost, and then Hermes would come around and collect them, grabbing by the little ears, and take off running, and you'd go flapping in the background, and they would take you down to the Underworld.
Wasn't there another messenger?
There was another messenger. Who was the other messenger?
Iris.
Hestia.
Iris. Remember, she was the little
What about
rainbow goddess that
Thanos?
came down. But she didn't take people to the underworld. She just worked for Hera, and that was it. So, let's say that for whatever reason, Brattain has a bad day and falls over dead. And falls down. Hermes' job is to come by, pick up Brattain's ghost that's just dancing around. I'm a ghost. Come by, grab his ghost, take it down to the underworld. When you come down to the underworld, there's this big, long cave system you have to go through before you get to it, and it comes down and opens up into this big, open cavern. Into the big, open cavern, Hermes just runs by, lets go, and Brattain slowly sinks down to the ground. Boink, and then pops into a person. The problem is, this is just the waiting room to the underworld. You're not into the actual underworld yet, because there was a body of water that separated the world from the underworld. And that body of water was
The river Styx.
so the river Styx comes in. Now, Mr. Brovicast, can't he just jump in and swim? You can't, because the water was considered poisonous and acidic. Oh, Mr. Brovicast, you already said he was dead, duh. You're correct. But the river Styx was thought to be so corrosive that even if you were dead, it would kill you. Mr. Brovicast, I understand. Once again, you're trying to apply logic to Greek mythology. Bad kids, bad. So the idea being is that even though Brattain is a ghost, if you were to run and jump into the river Styx, he would then melt like it's a video game, and then reappear back into that same area.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
But he would have gone through a whole lot of pain because you have the whole I'm melting, it hurts, I'm burning, oh my god, as you go melting into it. So it's not like something you would just do for fun, unless you have issues. Then, how is it you're supposed to get across the river Styx?
Oh!
You know, that's Jin.
You, like, pay someone on to get
Charon.
Charon, the boatman, the ferryman. He was a titan whose job it was to take you across the river Styx. But he didn't do it for free. It wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. You had to give him something. What did you have to give him?
Something
Drop money.
precious.
There you go, a gold coin, which would hopefully be very precious to you. You had to give up a gold coin in order to get across. Maya?
Wasn't that like at Percy Jackson when they were taking
Yeah.
that one guy and he was like that guy from
It was like-
he looked like a guy from
Except
And
for
I
that
could
one,
put
they
a
like this
$100 bill and it goes.
floating skull. That was weird. Yeah, it was just a river and just watery stuff.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
just $100
murky.
bill. It goes.
Yeah, not quite that fancy.
So
back
I
then,
always have
but
to
there are
carry a
special
gold coin
effects.
around on mold.
The problem is, to get the gold coin, you'd be dead. So how do you get the gold coin
Well,
when you're
your
down there?
possessions, you kept your possessions when you died.
No, but good guess.
I have a gold coin in my pocket.
The trick was, when you died, your family had to prepare you correctly to get the gold coin down with you. So when young Jake died, he made the poor choice and ate bad food, fell over. When his family buries him, they would have to put in his mouth a gold coin. And they would open it up, stick a little gold coin in there like a slot machine, and then close it. They bury him up, put him in the ground, and the thinking in the Greeks being is that when you get down to the underworld, you walk up the river like, oh, I wish I had a gold, and spit out the gold coin, like, woohoo! And then you pay over the gold coin, and you'd be able to get across. The problem would arise, like let's say all of a sudden Maze makes a bad choice and goes skipping home from school and a bus comes by. And there's nothing less of Maze, like little arm, fingers, and that's it. And there is nothing left to put the gold coin in. What happens then? Well, he's kind of hosed. You have to wait for someone else to die. And you'd have to sit there and wait around and cross your fingers like, oh, I hope Free H dies. And then hopefully dreams come true, Free H dies. So then Mama and Papa Mage would come to find Mama and Papa Free H and like, hey, our kid died a couple weeks ago. Sorry that your kid died. That's a big bummer. But can we stick a gold coin in his mouth? It was a lot less creepy back then. And what you do is you would just write Maze's name on the gold coin. And you stick it into Free H's mouth. When Free H gets buried, he goes down to the underworld. He has his own coin. Free H shows up. He's like, hey, I got my own coin. Second coin. This one says Maze. And you're like, woohoo, and grab it like, that's me. And then take off running, and you'd be good to go. So sometimes you would bury someone with extra coins in their mouth to give out to other people. Whether it was relatives, whether it was friends. Sometimes they would just do it to make friends down there. Because let's say, Free H, we're just going to stuff his mouth full of gold coins like a chipmunk. And when he gets down to the underworld, it's like a slot machine. He's like, and just spits it all out. You get down there, and then you could give out gold coins to other people. You could make friends, curry favors, and that was some of the thinking that they put into it. But let's say poor Maze doesn't have anyone to give the gold coins to, and Maze is dead. Down in the Underworld, you don't get a chance to cross. You just stay in this waiting room for 100 years or so. The idea being is that every once in a while, Charon would take someone across if there was extra room. It was like a 5-person boat, and only 4 people. He'd be like, all right, I'll bring 1 extra person across. And you'd be sitting in like a line, a queue, just sitting there like waiting up. You're like, it's my turn, I've been here for 900 years. And you step up and you get a chance to cross. If not, you have to sit there and wait for a friend to show up with the gold coins, try to negotiate your way across or something like that. So now, we get across here. We're like, woohoo, dead people going across. Everything's happy. You get to the far side of the river Styx. When you get to here, you get to the next thing that's going to stop you. This is a living creature whose job was to stop anybody that was alive coming across. And this living creature was? Cerberus. What is Cerberus?
A 3-headed dog.
Nicely done.
It's a
Cerberus
Rottweiler.
was a 3-headed dog. His job was to protect the underworld from anyone who was alive. As long as you were dead, he would let you pass. If you were alive, he would then make you dead and let you pass. There's an actual photograph of him at the time, from someone who went down there with a camera. And that would be a picture of Cerberus. I know it's disturbing because that guy's doing push-ups. No one does exercise anymore. But that would be a picture of Cerberus. Now, the question,
Mr. Brovicast, why would you go down there if you're alive? That doesn't make any sense.
well, let's say we have poor Maze and poor Bretagne and poor Friage that have died, and all of a sudden now Jin steps up and he's like, I'm going to save them all and we're going to be friends again. So Jin decides that he's going to go down there and fight off the Underworld. So he puts on his armor, runs down there, finds the secret passageways, gets past all of this, comes down to Charon, flips him the gold coin, phew, gets on the boat, and he's like, I'm coming, guys! And he gets across all the way over to here, comes running in there to find him, and Cerberus goes, and just eats him. All that work for nothing. Now the problem is, as soon as he gets gobbled and eaten and thrown back in the dirt, he's then going to reappear, not here, but back over here on this side. Now what's the problem? Nicely done. Now he's stuck there unless he has the gold coin, unless he planned ahead. And was like, I'm coming, God! And stuck the gold coin there and then went, but why would you do that? That means you're expecting to die, and that would just be silly. So that was his goal, was to prevent living people from getting across. It didn't happen often, but knowing it was there prevented most humans from trying to get across. Not that you could, because it didn't exist, it wasn't a real place. But you're welcome to try if you wanted to. Once you got past, you have to wait on the questions, we'll get to you in a little bit. Once you got past Cerberus, we came down to the 3 judges. And I'm going to talk about them in a moment, because they're not until later Greek mythology. This is all the main Greek mythology. This main area was a place called Asphodel Fields. The Asphodel Fields was the main part of the underworld. This is where 98% of all dead people go. For the most part, Underworld and Asphodel Fields are the same thing. It's like saying an automobile and a car. You're referring to the same idea. It was not a place of burning and fire or bad things. It was just a place, it was a big underground cavern with dead people just walking around. Not zombies, that's creepy. Just like really pale people that don't get, like computer programmers walking around. Not much sunlight, looking really pale. People going around playing video games all the time, just walking around, and there's rocks and centipedes and more rocks. Oh look, a rock over there. Ooh, a new centipede. Ooh, another rock, and that was it. You just spent all your time walking around. If you were a horrible person and spent your entire life going around taking puppies and throwing them into burning buildings, you would still go to the same place. You would go to Asphodel Fields. If you were an awesome person and spent your whole life saving puppies from burning buildings, and you're like, I've saved 9,000 puppies from burning buildings, you would go to the same place. Everyone went there, good or bad. It was just, when you died, that's where you went. Plus, we had Hades hanging out there. That was where his big throne was, down there in the underworld. And, for those of you who read the story, we also had his wife for part of the year. And who was Hades' wife? Persephone. And Persephone was down there for part of the year. She was the nice one. She had a little throne and stuff like that. And you could go up and talk to them, but they'd probably ignore you. Then, as time went by, eventually the Greeks decided to add in a place for really bad people. But it's for really, really bad people. And by really bad, we mean you were bad to the gods. You could be as bad to humans as you wanted, and you'd still go to the Asphodel Fields. If you became known as eye-poking Phil, and you spend your entire life just going and just jabbing people in the eyes, that's all you did, you would still go to the Asphodel Fields. if you played one card game with Zeus and cheated, you'd go to the bad place. Because it was just for people who did bad things against the gods. And it's a place you've already heard of. It's a place called
Tartarus.
Tartarus. Nicely done. That's where Tartarus comes in. And it was the same pit, but around the top of the pit, where all those titans were thrown, he sets up special little torture areas for humans that made poor choices against the gods. There's not very many of them, because not many people got a chance to make poor choices against the gods, because they didn't exist. So it was kind of hard to do it. So most people went to the asphodel fields. But then, they figured if we have a really bad place, we should also create a really, really good place for people that do good things for the gods. So once again, if you go around saving burning babies, you would still go to the asphodel fields. But if one time you helped Zeus cheat in a card game, there's a good chance you'd go to the good place. The good place was called the Elysian Fields. It was usually reserved for warriors that were awesome in battle, that went above and beyond, or people who did great things for the gods. The Elysian Fields wasn't just an underground cavern. It was a place with flowers and rainbows and bunny rabbits and butterflies. You would just go hopping and skipping and high-five each other, and it was awesome. And you would get a chance to spend the rest of your life there instead of the asphodel. But there's a catch. If you went to the Elysian Fields, you had an option that was only available to people who went to the Elysian Fields. That option was you could choose to be reborn as a human and start life all over again. But the problem is, that meant you got to have another string created by
The Fates.
the Fates. And the problem with having a string created by the Fates is you don't know how long it's going to be. It can be really short, it can be really long. And so you're going to go through life again, not knowing that you already died once and been reborn, and you would go through the whole thing again and get a chance to come down. That's where these three judges come in. The three judges were these three past kings. King Rhadamanthus, King Minos, and King, I don't remember his name. And those three of them would be down here. Their job was to figure out if you were just asphodel field good or if you were Elysian field good. And pretty much 99.9% of people went down to the asphodel fields. The rare person got a chance to go over here. They rarely sent anyone to Tartarus because that was Zeus's job. You had to make Zeus mad to go over there, or Hades mad. But since Hades didn't talk to people, that really wasn't an issue. So they didn't usually send people here. That was up to the gods to decide that. They could send you over here. So if you went through, got reborn, came back down, and the judges said, you know what? Over you go again. And you got a chance to go here a second time. Here's where it gets tough. Because now you can choose to get reborn again. And if you can do it a third time, go through life, become a good person, come back down, and get sent over here, and you get sent to the Elysian Fields 3 different times, you got to go to the Super Happy Bonus Round. And the Super Happy Bonus Round was a place called the Isle of the Blessed. The Isle of the Blessed was actually on Mount Olympus. And while it was up there, you got to become a god. You became a titan. They gave you the nectar and ambrosia. You got to hang out there. You got to go to the weekly poker games. It was all kinds of fun. But the problem is, I can't find any stories of anybody that's ever done it. They talk about it, and they say it's possible, and they say how you can do it, but I've yet to find a story of them saying, like, Joey got a chance to go there. I can find stories of the Elysian Fields. Lots of them go there. But I can't find stories for the Isle of the Blessed. They can just talk about what it is. So those are the different areas for the Underworld. Andrew?
Has anyone ever gotten past the three-headed dog that was alive?
Hercules, but he didn't go past it. He picked it up and carried it. But that was because he got special permission from Hades. Has anyone managed to go past it and fight it? No, it didn't happen. I mean, he was humongous and angry and very bitey. Daughtery?
Didn't someone that was really good with music put
Orpheus?
the dog to sleep and then went into the Hades place to get his wife back?
And he managed to make a deal with Hades though. Once
Yeah.
again, he made a deal with Hades, and once you make a deal with Hades, he did. Then he looks back and
Yeah, but he got past.
but not by fighting. You're right. I know.
Loophole.
but nobody.
Jordan.
So the thing is, even though if you are good, like on the surface, even though when you die and you still go to the ash, well, yeah, you know. But the thing is though, but you said before though that if you're actually a good person, they actually go to the
Elysian?
Fields. Yeah.
You had to be a good person, whereas you do something good for the gods, or you were a great warrior.
Oh.
Like, not just a good person, but like something where you did something good for the gods. That kind of good person.
Oh.
Why
The
did
gods
do
were
that?
very selfish. It was all about them. They're like, oh, you helped humans, good for you. I don't care.
Oh.
So you had to help the gods.
Oh.
Andrew?
What if you like, if you're already in the asphodel field, can you like go back and punch the three-headed dog in the face?
You have interesting hobbies. So now we're going to take a look at the story of Tantalus.
Punch one.
On here, there's stories of 4 different people who made really bad choices. So Tantalus was one of them. We'll try to get through it as quickly as I can with you. Because if not, then that's where it becomes the homework. I'm going to try and give you guys as little homework as possible. They're fun stories, don't worry, we're making really bad choices. Tantalus was a guy that hung out with the gods, a human who managed to make friends with the Olympians and Zeus and all that. Zeus was so happy with him, he invited him up on a regular basis to have dinner up on Mount Olympus. The problem with Tantalus having dinner with the gods on Mount Olympus is he did it so often, he began to think the gods weren't all that special. Just like if you got to hang out with celebrities all the time, after a while, you don't think celebrities are all that special. So Tantalus decides he's going to test the gods. So he comes up with an idea. He's like, if the gods are all that special, and they're so omnipotent and so powerful, then they should be able to see any of my sneakiness coming. So he finds a rumor that says that human flesh is poisonous to the gods, and that gods cannot eat humans without having fat. So your goal is you're going to have to not work. Here's the bad news. The stories that are on here are not on tomorrow's quiz. They're on next week's quiz. That gives you a week to read them. That's the good news. The bad news is you have a week to read them, which means what are you going to do?
Read them.
Yeah, put them off to the last minute. You have a quiz tomorrow.
Don't run away.